Hello and welcome to episode 284 of the Quiet and Strong podcast, especially for introverts. I'm your host, David Hall, and the creator of quietandstrong.com. This is a weekly podcast dedicated to understanding the strengths and needs of introverts, along with strategies for success. Introversion is not something to fix, but to be embraced. Normally, we will air each episode on a Monday. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform, leave a review or a rating. That will mean a lot to me and help others find the show. Tell a friend about the podcast and help get the word out there that introversion is a beautiful thing. So, on the show, we talk about the strengths and needs of introverts. We talk about the need for some solitude and space on a regular basis. And of course, we bust myths. A common myth is that introverts don't like people. Often I also hear that the difference between introverts and extroverts is how we gain our energy or recharge. Introverts, they say, recharge by being alone, and extroverts gain energy by being with people. I've always found this definition to be lacking and oversimplified. So let's talk about all of this. So to start, most introverts like people. We love spending time with family, friends. We enjoy collaborating on work. We just might not always enjoy spending time in the same way extroverts do. And the definition goes far beyond the discussion about how we get our energy by being alone. We do need some time for recharge and other things. That is true. And I would not simply say that I'm drained by all people, but rather by certain people and situations. What drains you? What gives you energy? It goes far beyond recharging after we feel drained. As introverts, we need time to plan, to prepare, to think, concentrate, and feel at peace. Solitude, being alone, helps introverts be more organized, productive, and balanced. And without enough quiet space, we can definitely become overwhelmed. We can lose our peace and get irritated. So I was recently on a vacation with my family, seeing extended family. I had a great time. We had good weather, beautiful scenery, and some great conversations with people I care deeply about. So I had a great time, but what was missing? I have become an early riser. It's in the quiet of the morning where I can spend alone time with my thoughts. It's become a beautiful and valuable part of my day. But when you wake up early in the hotel room and your family's there sleeping, it's not the same as being at home where you can find a place to be alone. And the hotel room may have a chair, but it's not the same comfy chair that you have at home. I like to sit in a recliner as I am right now. So I love my family and do not want to be alone all the time. But I need some quiet each day to be my best. As introverts, we have a rich inner world with great imaginations. And so we need to have some dedicated time and space there. And again, great strengths come from this. So why do we need solitude? Definitely recharging is part of it. Recharging after draining activities or situations. Maybe after a long meeting or a networking event, even a family gathering or a day of back-to-back calls, solitude can give an introvert a chance to recover energy. For example, someone may need 20 minutes alone after work before they could be fully present with their family. Without that pause, they may feel exhausted or foggy, emotionally flat. For me, often the drive home has been this quiet time for me, leaving work behind, being alone with my thoughts, maybe listening to a podcast or music or just quiet. And, sometimes I work from home and I may need to put a little buffer in between the time I stop working and the time I'm going to go spend with my family. I think one of our gifts is thinking and making plans, but often we need that quiet to do this planning. Quiet makes it easier to set priorities, weigh options, think things through, next steps. For example, as an introvert, you may get your best weekly plan done early in the morning with a notebook before emails and messages start coming in. In a noisy environment, that same planning can feel scattered and rushed. A key to success as an introvert is preparing. We do like to think of things ahead of time as much as we can. So spending some time preparing for interactions, meetings, presentations. Solitude helps us introverts think about what we want to say and mentally organize our thoughts. For example, before leading the team meeting, we may spend time alone outlining key points and anticipating questions. And the preparation often leads to more confidence and clear communication. You know, often a skill as an introvert can be to be a problem solver, to think through problems and have future visions. Many introverts do their best thinking when they have uninterrupted time. For example, someone may go for a quiet walk to work through a challenge or to imagine the direction of a new project. Solitude creates that space needed for insight, creativity, and long-term vision. And sometimes it's just about relaxing and enjoying time alone. It's not just about recharge or getting work done. It can be really enjoyable. For example, maybe reading, journaling, gardening, you name it. What is that for you? Or simply sitting quiet can help you feel refreshed rather than lonely. It's this kind of alone time that helps introverts feel restored and more like themselves. Another thing is focusing and concentrating without interruption. There really isn't multitasking. We can only really do one thing at a time. And often the multitasking is really just switching back and forth, and we can definitely lose our place, make more mistakes. And so when we can get focus and fewer distractions, it means we can pay better attention and get better results. For example, maybe an introvert's writing a report and can complete it much faster in a quiet room than in an open office full of conversations. Solitude helps the mind stay on one task instead of constantly switching gears. And quiet time makes it easier to sort tasks, clear clutter, and move work forward. For example, an introvert may use a quiet Sunday morning to organize their calendar and prepare for the week ahead. What time works for you? Is there a time at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week where you can organize and think about the week ahead or how you did on the week prior? Structure can make the rest of the week feel smoother and less stressful. And this is all about maintaining peace, reducing your overwhelm. Solitude, it reduces the noise level and helps restore calm. And solitude is not a selfish preference or a nice to have. For many introverts, it's a real need that helps us show up as our best, most grounded self. Take some time to notice which activities drain your energy, even if you enjoy them. A great conversation, full day of meetings, travel, family events, extended social time can all be meaningful, but still leave you depleted. The key question is, how do you best recharge after those experiences? And how can you build in recovery time into your week on purpose? It also helps to think ahead when you can be alone to think, to plan, to focus, to dream. Maybe that means protecting a quiet morning before the day begins, blocking out short pockets of time during the day, or leaving a margin after a busy event. Even 15 or 20 minutes here or there can make a big difference in your energy and your clarity. Another helpful strategy is planning for transitions, especially after something intense or restorative, like a vacation. So I have no regrets about my vacation, but sometimes the best follow-up to a great trip is not another activity right away, but a little space to settle back in. I like the idea of the vacation from the vacation, a buffer day to unpack, to rest, to ease back into life. And you might need these buffer times after lots of things. Maybe you're giving a speech, maybe even a particular meeting, you need a little buffer after. And introverts, we can explain our need for solitude in practical relational terms. You don't have to make it sound complicated or defensive. You might simply say, you know, I think better when I have some quiet time. Or after a lot of people time, I may need a little space to recharge. That explanation, it helps others understand that solitude is not rejection, it's restoration. It also helps to be deliberative about the people and commitments that matter most. Solitude and connection are not opposites, they work together. When someone asks for your time, you can respond with honesty and kindness. I'm not available then, but I'd love to get together at this other time. That kind of planning protects your energy while still honoring your relationship. So as you think about your solitude, remember, it's not about withdrawal from life or from people. It's about creating that space you need to think clearly, recover fully, and show up with more strength, patience, and purpose. If you're an introvert, give yourself permission to protect your quiet time. And if you love an introvert, remember that the need for solitude is often part of what helps them be their best in relationships, at work, and in the world. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I hope you take the time to explore other episodes and learn from our amazing guests. Remember, if you're interested in getting to know yourself better, there is a free Type Finder personality assessment on the Quiet and Strong website. This free assessment will give you a brief four-letter report, including the four-letter Myers-Briggs code. I'll put a link in the show notes. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out at david@quietandstrong.com or through the quietandstrong.com website. Let's keep the conversation going. As always, get to know your introverted strengths and needs and be strong.